Hello, you guys. It's me again, the MetaVerse Explorer. I'm back with another episode to talk to you about Lifinity. They are on Solana, and I'm super bullish on them. So I'm going to give you a little bit of information about Lifinity. But before we do that, this is me. Thank you very much for watching my videos. I'm up to 7,075 subscribers. My aim is to get to 10,000. So thank you everyone for watching. I put a lot of work into some of these videos, so thank you very much. Okay, first off, disclaimer, none of this is financial advice. You should be warned. You shouldn't be taking financial advice from someone on YouTube anyway. So let's get started. So Lifinity, why are we going to be talking about Lifinity? There's a few major reasons. One of them is that it's a very unique product on Solana. They don't have many other competitors. They do have some minor competitors, but Lifinity so far is beating them by a very long shot. The next thing is they have an IDO coming up. So I thought I would spread the word a little bit for people to see if they're interested. If you're interested, then you might want to participate. That's totally up to you. The next thing is they are under the radar. The community is really small at the moment. No one, like everything else is happening in Solana is NFTs and communities, and so far there's not a lot of attention being given to Lifinity, even though their NFTs are still on Magic Eden and they have like an 8 Solana price, which is around $800. And then lastly, they do have a content competition, which I'm probably going to use this video to submit to and hopefully try and get myself another Flare NFT. So let's get started. Some general community information for Lifinity for you. So this is their Twitter. They've got 12,000 followers. You can find them on Lifinity.io, or you can also join their Discord, very active in there. Shout out to Durden in their Discord, who just did an AMA. So what's a small overview of Lifinity? It's the first proactive market maker on Solana designed to improve capital efficiency and reduce impermanent loss. Now, this is a major selling point for them. It's the improved capital efficiency, and I'll give you one of the reasons and the evidence for the capital efficiency, and they also reduce impermanent loss. And sometimes they even reverse impermanent loss, which means you make money from impermanent loss, which is crazy. Like in DeFi, in AMM pools, we always have impermanent loss. This is just like a fact of it's a disadvantage of being part of an AMM. This is their YouTube on the bottom left-hand side corner. Very small YouTube channel. They've got some AMAs and they've got little tutorials. Only 151 subscribers. And on their Discord is the bottom right. You can see there's 6,800 members and 1.5K online. That means that there's a very high proportion of users online, which is a good sign for me, right? When you see they have like 50,000 members on their Discord and only like 500 or 1.5K online, that means it's very heavily botted. That means there's a lot of fake users in there. This does not say that there's a lot of fake users. Let's move on. Their unique product on the market. This is what really interests me. They're a proactive market maker. They have they're using Pyth to try and get to use oracles to try and get a better quote on their pricing. So they do have concentrated liquidity. Some of their liquidity pools are times 100 concentration and even times 1,000 concentration. We'll have a look at them. Sometimes you can reduce or even reverse impermanent loss. Now this is crazy, right? This is one of the things that gets me excited about it. Everyone hates impermanent loss. It's definitely myself, and especially if you're thinking about tax as well. Oh, my button's got undone. Let me just do it back up. Sorry. Ooh. Okay. It reverses impermanent loss and it turns a profit from market making. They explain a lot of this in the series of tokenomic papers. So I'm going to tell you to go ahead and read that as well. I can't give you a giant overview of the whole thing at the moment. Let's have a look at some of the things I'm excited about. So it's a bit small for you, but hopefully you'll be able to see. Let's look at just the first one, right? It's a Solana and USDC market exchange on their website. Because it's a concentrated liquidity market, you can see the concentration is at 100 times. This is a concentration of 100 times. It's not a times one concentration, right? The target liquidity that they want to be in this pool is only $1 million, okay? The liquidity in there at the moment is 1.2, so it needs to go back down. And it should be capped at the moment. No one should be able to enter anything. What's really interesting is look at the 24-hour volume compared to the target liquidity, or even the total liquidity. So the total liquidity that they have is 1.2 million. The 24-hour volume is 4.6 million, which means in one day, they've been able to use their entire pool 4 times. That is crazy, right? Because usually when everyone's in the same pool, you get the less fees because you're diluted by everyone else in that pool. But in this case, since the pool is super tiny, they're able to use the entire pool multiple times. And then because of that, look at the APRs they're able to get. 101% APR, not APY, 101% APR, which is crazy, right? And even look at their 7-day volume, 25 million. So in 1 week, they've churned their entire volume 7 times. 7 times. That's crazy. Let's look at the SOL in USDC, which is concentrated as 1 million. The 24-hour volume is 1.4 million. Less volume than USDC because USDC is the premier stablecoin on Solana. They have some other pools here. We don't have to go too much in depth, but the last column is the CA, which is the competitive advantage. This is how much better this pool is compared to other AMMs on Solana. Let's have a look at some comparisons, right? So on the top left, we're looking at the statistics from Jupiter, Jupiter.ag, the giant aggregator for Solana. So you can see Orca at the top, Saber, Radium, Serum, Mercurial, and then Lifinity. This is the 24-hour volume, right? Lifinity has $8 million in volume. Let's compare this to Orca. Orca has nearly 18 million in volume. Let's go ahead to the right-hand side. Look at the Aqua Farm on Orca, sorry. So the SOL USDC Orca farm has a total liquidity of 108 million, but their 24-hour volume is only 60 million, which means in 24 hours, they haven't been able to utilize their whole volume, only 60% or 61%-ish. 58%-ish of their volume. And what APR does that give you? 36.4. Let's go ahead and look at the SOL USDC because we're looking at the SOL and USDC pair, right? SOL and USDC on Orca 24-hour volume is 60 million, whereas SOL USDC is only is 4.5 million. Right? Look at so that means Liffinity is 3.73 times more efficient than it is on Orca. That's crazy, nearly double as efficient. Now the problem is, if you don't understand what I'm trying to say, is that the problem is the total liquidity in the Orca SOL USDC pool is super diluted. When you're in there, you don't get many fees because the pool is so big. Think about a giant swimming pool. You can only swim in one little lane. Whereas if you go to Lifinity, the pool is very small, which means everyone goes back and forth, a lot more often than they do in Orca. Okay? It just means that they're way more efficient, and that's why I like it. And they're efficient because they also have the 100 times concentration, whereas the Orca farms do not have the 100 times concentration. Now, they do have a whole bunch of information about their IDO coming up, which we're going to talk about very shortly. They've got a 6-part series. I can't give you all the information here because the video is going to be like 30 minutes long talking about everything. But please go to the documents, read their tokens, liquidations, bribing, revenue, and the VeIDO. Let's go ahead and talk about the VeIDO at the moment. So that's going to actually happen in about 2 days, maybe 10 hours if you're watching this at the moment. It is a Mango-style VeIDO. What does that mean? It means you're able to put in USDC if you're interested in participating in this project. You put in USDC and you get to choose how long you want to lock your tokens for. So you can have a no lock, which gives you a 0 discount on the tokens, or you can go to a 4-year lock, which gives you a 50% discount on the token. So what does that mean? When you lock your tokens, you actually get VE Lifinity instead of Liffinity. So VE is vote escrowed locked Liffinity, right? Which means you'll be able to participate in the governance. Which means like you'll be able to help make decisions and where the future of Liffinity goes to. What's really interesting is that it's a linear locking, right? So you'll be able to get a 50% discount. So there's a lot of games you could play here. You'd be like, do I want to stay in this project for 4 years? I'm going to get a 50% discount. In 4 years, will the token go down 50%? In which case it might be equal. If it might go up, then hey, you've gotten a really cheap asset that's going to go a lot higher in price. Or if you're not interested, you can have a no lock or even a 1-year lock. And then once the whole thing starts, it starts generating revenue as soon as the VeIDO has been finished, because VE Lifinity is part of the product that they're releasing. You'll be able to lock for 4 years or no lock. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to participate in this myself. I'm going to be locking for 4 years because I really think 4 years is the better. But I might also have another account where I'm able to lock for maybe 1 year or maybe a no lock period. I'm still going to figure that out. Yeah. So this starts on April 23rd, 1500 UTC. A few TLDRs from some of their blog posts. There's no VC allocation, which makes me super bullish, right? I'm a huge fan of the no VCs. It's funded by by everyone in the community, including the Flare DAO holders. In the VeIDO, the more USDC you invest, the longer you lock your tokens, the more VE Lifinity you receive. So they'll sell later 20% of Liffinity supply as VE Lifinity, and will cap the raise at 30 million. I loved the cap raise. The majority of the funds raised will become protocol-owned liquidity, which is a whole nother video we're going to talk about. Protocol revenue is distributed to VE Lifinity holders, so the token has a clear use case from day number one. Let's move on. Let's compare this to some of the other traditional raises in Solana. So let's look at, we know all of these names, right? Aurora, GG, Mango, Parrot, Sol, and UXD Lifinity. Look at the IDO allocations, look at the VC allocations, and then look at the raising, right? We know, let's say Mango raised a huge amount. They raised an IDO 70 million, and the raise to IDO ratio is 1.1 billion, 400 million. That's crazy, right? Traditionally what we see is they give a very low float at the beginning of the tokenomic of the release or the IDO. The price shoots all the way up. They do a lot of liquidity making, LPing in pools like in Radium or Tulip, and then all these compounding effects just bring the token all the way down, because in the beginning there weren't many tokens out, right? Okay, and then everyone gets that allocation. That pushes the price all the way up there. And then once everyone starts farming it, starts leverage yield farming on Transium, it just starts going all the way down, okay? What Lifinity are doing different is that there's a huge block for the IDO in the first beginning. The team gets 20%, that's vested. There are no VCs, and there's no, and the cap is 30 million. This is what differentiates them for everyone else. Everyone else didn't have a cap, which means anyone could deposit as much money as they wanted into the IDO, which means they'll give a ridiculous FDV, a fully diluted value. For Lifinity, that's not going to happen. They're going to have a fully diluted value of about 150 million, which is crazy. I'm in love with this. I like that they've thought about this, right? Let's move on. Let's talk about where the tokens are going to be. So the VeIDO that we're going to be experiencing very soon is 20%. Flare holders are the NFT holders, and we're going to show you a picture of them very soon. They get 1%. Now they've decided that's going to be a locked NFT drop. So it's going to be linearly unlocking when you lock your NFT for a year. The team gets 20% and the treasury gets 59%. Oh, the treasury gets 59%. That's going to be so powerful. What are the flares? They are the Lifinity flares, now on Magic Eden. They did a raise before. All of the raise went into the protocol to start generating revenue, right? The floor at the moment for the Lifinity flares, I think, is 8.3 Solana, something like that. And these are the pictures of them. They look pretty good. I'm very happy with them. I have one myself, and I'm trying to get another one at the moment. Now, the flare holders allocation will be distributed through a stake and claim over the following year from the VeIDO. The team's allocation vests over 4 years with a 6-month clip. So 6 months, 6 months, 6 months. There's no planned use for the treasury at the moment because, first things first, get the token out there, get the flares their own token, and then go from there. This is the Tokenomics series. There's 6 parts to it. It's very in-depth. I think Durden had a huge hand in writing some of these because it sounds like his language, very straightforward, very serious. This is it. This is what we're going to do. So I'm going to encourage you to please go and read the 6-part series. I'm going to put it in the description down here below for you. I'm going to give you a small TLDR, some of the things to summarize it for you. So users can lock your Lifinity, which is the free-flowing Lifinity, for VE Lifinity, vote escrow Lifinity, which decays, of course, because it's vote locked, and then it decays, it starts going down, and then it unlocks for you. So as the time period starts going down, it starts unlocking for you. Lifinity later will sell VE Lifinity for LP tokens so that it permanently actually owns the liquidity it provides. When you're a VE Lifinity holder, you get to vote for pools. Protocols can bribe Lifinity to see where all these emissions are going to actually be allocated. And this is where some of the degen saber wars kind of comes in. Revenue, of course, is generated to VE Lifinity holders and used for Lifinity buyback. So there's continual pressure going all the way up on the token. Some of the end game, I'm going to read this out for you. You can probably read it yourself, but let's read it together. Some protocols require continuous inflation to retain liquidity and stay competitive. What does this mean? You know how, like I was saying before, everyone releases their tokens, it starts getting farmed. And like if you're a protocol like Mercurial or any other protocol, really, they just give out their tokens for you to come and be part of their liquidity. Once you start liquidity mining with them, they give you their tokens. What do you do with your tokens? You don't want that protocol's tokens because everyone else in the world is getting them. You're just going to sell them, right? You sell them and then improve your own capital. You sell it to USDC or you sell it to your underlying base pair currencies. While Liffinity will start off by mainly using its treasury of Lifinity to acquire additional liquidity, they aim to reach a point where you can generate enough revenue such that the bought back Liffinity is enough for continued liquidity acquisition. In other words, they want the emissions to become unnecessary for the protocol. They don't want it for the protocol-owned liquidity. Ideally, they reach this point without having to use all Liffinity into treasury, and the remainder can be burnt or used for other productive means. They've really thought about their tokenomics. They thought about how they want to release their token, and this is what makes me bullish on a project like this. I'm going to leave it here, guys. I'm going to say DYOR. Do your own research, read the tokenomics, see if you're interested. The IDO is in like 2 days. Are you going to get invested? Are you not? It's okay to sit out on some things, and sometimes you have to have a small allocation, a small kind of exposure to this project, just in case it actually starts taking off. You never know. For me, this is a yay. I'm definitely going to be participating in this. I don't do many videos that are a nay because why would I? At the moment, I just like doing videos that interest me. So Liffinity does interest me. Durden, this goes out to you. I'm going to submit this to the contest submission so that I can win a flare because you know I want one so badly. That's it for now. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to leave it here. If you want more, you know what to do. Click the like button and hit the bell. I'm going to leave you with the Dancing Pepe. Ciao for now.